Hi everyone, Michelle here from Scrappy Soul Sister, and today I'm super excited to participate in the monthly YouTube scrapbook sketch hop. And so a big thank you to Melissa over at Cards by Melissa Miner for inviting me. I really appreciate it, and this will be a lot of fun. So in the description of this video, you will see the links for the other participators. They're all super talented, so be sure to check out their videos. And for July, we are using this sketch, and this sketch is by Allison Davis. And so I just love the graduation of color, and so I'm really going to lean into that. And so I I probably will do triangles. I thought about doing a different shape, but I do like the triangles and I do like the sewing. Whether it's going to be like this or like this, I am not sure yet. But since this is my first time with this hop, I might stick pretty closely to the sketch. But just always know you can always just take elements. It's your page. Do what inspires you. And so the pictures I'm going to be working on are of my friends Paul and Felisa of their trip to Hawaii. And since I wanted to really get that graduation of color, I am going to use 3 different blues, teals family from 49 and Market. So I have Ocean, I have Inkwell, and I have the teal. And so I'm going to use those papers, and I might add some kaleidoscope, either rub-ons or elements from kaleidoscope for the embellishments. And so I don't know that my embellishments are going to stick with the blues. I really want to make sure that this is the blues. And it could be that I just keep it pretty monochromatic. I might add some pops of pink. So that's my plan. Let's see what we can come up with. So I have selected my papers and cut my triangles from those 3 groups that I mentioned, and I am going to use some distress inks just to tie them all together since they are 3 different color stories, and I didn't pay too much attention to keeping those color stories separate. I'm just going from light to dark. And so I'm using Salty Ocean, Blue Print Sketch, and what is the other one? Let me remember. Oh, Chip Sapphire, to create my graduation of color and to finish off those edges. And I will also be doing sewing on my edges. And so as soon as I'm done with this inking, I will take these to my sewing machine and sew with white thread. And then this portion will be done. I will also adhere them together sometime in the future just so I can move them as a group. And so I decided to use some Sunburst collection as I still have a few bits and pieces, and I do want to bring in that hot pink. And so I cut down my paper and I'm just using Salty Ocean on the edge just to help with any cut lines. And I am also going to use this piece from Sunburst. I really liked having a little bit of lightness in the center. Now I decided to add just a little bit of stenciling with some modeling paste in that top left corner and the bottom right corner. And this was just totally spur of the moment. And so I like how it looked, but it's definitely, not necessary. And I'm really not going to do any more there. But I did like adding just a little bit of white. So here I kind of am heading towards how I want my layout to look. I have my pink background. I did sew around the edges of that. And then I mounted my blue paper. I mounted my triangles. And then I covered my seam there to the right with a pink barcode strip, and then I tore off a section of that kind of sewn edge looking barcode strip and used that on there as well. And now I'm looking at the sketch and trying to figure out how I want to do my long title. I am using parts of Kaleidoscope. Now, this layout I worked on this over several days. For those of you who don't know, we just got a brand new puppy, and so we've had her for a few weeks, and so um, love having her, but trying to figure out the schedule and how it affects my scrapping time and all that kind of fun stuff. And so I had so many thoughts, and then I would walk away and I'd come back and I would have a different thought. So this layout. Um, for me was chaotic. And so hopefully it's not like that for you as you watch this video or as you see the finished product. But I do add kaleidoscope. So I'm actually using like 5 different 49 and market groups on this one page. Which for me is a lot. And so that probably added a little bit to my um, anxiety, but I do like how it turns out. And so it was definitely worth it to play with different groups. So I just encourage all of you to mix and match if you haven't done too much of that before. And so I have that long piece that I cut out from a kaleidoscope 12 by 12 page. I've cut that into different sections and used it around that left corner and left side. I have my seaside title, and so I did sew through that with black thread just to add a little bit of interest. And then I'm going to use that kind of pennant piece as my long portion of the title in the sketch. So just going to play with my glue applicator there for a minute and add some dots and get that adhered onto my layout. So just to talk through a little bit of the clusters, I tried to keep the clusters mainly around the photos. I do have that piece off to the upper left, just to kind of mimic the way the hearts are in the uh, sketch. And so I'm going to go ahead and adhere those down and start adding a few bits and pieces up there. I have the bit to the right where my hand is now. Now on the sketch, there's more maybe just above the photo, but on the uh, paper behind it was kind of some elements, and I either wanted to use them or cover them. It felt distracting to leave them on their own. I do have a little bit of bird wing popping up, which I liked, and so I've added both pieces from Sunburst and from Kaleidoscope in that section. And now I'm taking a look at that long bit to the left, poking in just a little bit of white here and there with some black accents as I have the piece along the border on the right. Just want to add a few more thread towards types of elements, a few more bits with some black accents to tie it all in together. So there are quite a bit of heart elements in the sketch. I don't use quite as many, but I do want to use some hearts. I also use some of the buttons, again, because it kind of has that uh, some elements that help tie in that sewn strip to the right. And so I'm using those in my clusters, trying to keep a balance of color, uh, trying to keep the one up at the top, maybe more pinks and blues, because I want that to kind of feel more in the background and the others to feel like they have more of a forefront feel. Now, I know there's a lot of different feelings as far as how many embellishments is a good amount of embellishments. As you can see, I do like to use a lot of embellishments, and sometimes when I am looking at a layout and it feels like, oh, maybe that's too much, sometimes it's because there's not enough. And I know that sounds kind of weird, but it could be that everything might feel flat because it's all the same scale. And so sometimes adding just a little bit of different scale, yeah, you're adding something, but some smaller elements to help the larger elements pop. And so uh, that's how I feel about it. Again, you know, you do you. You do what's comfortable and what feels good. I like to use a lot of product. Since I have so much product, it makes me feel good to get it on a page. And so now I battle here and there up at the top right where my frame is. There's kind of a little edge there between the triangles and where my frame begins. And so you'll see me try a few different things up there before I settle on something. And then I look at that blue flower for a bit, but it's the only one I have, and so I decide against it. And I am getting kind of down to just a few little details here and there. So I believe I do use this. What do I see? I'm trying to fill that gap. I try a few different things, and I believe I end up just using like a little round bit instead of that floral. And let's see. And so in Kaleidoscope, there's quite a few birds. This picture is in Hawaii, so I felt comfortable using birds on this layout. And so I used just a couple. One, as you see there at the bottom left, and then one in that cluster at the top left. And let's see. Yeah, so there's that round piece, and I even like take away that flower and just let that round piece cover that little gap that's bothering me. And yeah, problem about to be solved there. I think I'm putting some adhesive on it right now. There we go. Now, since I do have quite a bit of thread elements, I'm going to add one more. So I'm just going to add some little pink um, gathered thread under my two little word bits. So under the fun and sun, and then under that um, circular piece that was to the left. And I'm getting somewhat close. Um, I do struggle with that long piece because it just feels a little flat. And so I decide to add some of these hibiscus flowers from my stash. Now, I've had these forever, but I'm glad that I dug for them because I do have quite a bit of the Sunburst collection left, and I don't have any flowers in these. And I also found like some smaller, more fuchsia pink that I don't use on this layout, but they will be perfect to add to the Sunburst that pieces that I have left. And so that did displace a few little elements, but that is fine. I reposition them, add a few other little bits. Now I thought about adding one to that top right, but I changed my mind. I just want them to be in the larger floral cluster. So that is going to go away. And yeah, so I really like how that turned out. And now I think I am going to, yeah, fill my floral center. So I'm just going to use these little beads. And so I am going to use my collage medium to help adhere those down, as that will dry pretty, pretty clear. And so I'm just going to use pink beads. I thought about using yellow, didn't really want to introduce another color, and so I'm just using a pink for that. And I am going to splatter in just a couple of colors, white and black. Try to keep it a little more neutral because, I mean, even I can admit there is a lot of color going on, but I think the white splatters really help tie in those geotags from before. And there is black already in the background paper, so I just want to add a little bit more. So getting close to the end. Again, thank you for letting me participate in this hop. Check out all the other creators, and everyone have a great day. Bye now.